All right, shout out to Rebel MNK. So today, esoteric rant is going to be fap, no fap, fast, no fast. It's really going to boil down to two schools of fighting. One is the hedonistic, westernized, I fight for the glory and fame and power and money, and I use science, and I'm on the cutting edge, and I'm all the nutrition and supplements and blah, blah, blah. The second is the ancient esoteric mystery school thought and technique on fighting. Now, they're both technologies. They are. So if you're new school, it's still you use your technology, your running machines and your supplementation and your dietitian and you know, always reading the next hip thing. The ancient mystery schools is you're indoctrinated, you're taught by a master, and your purpose is higher. So that's just in general the two schools of thought. Now, whether fap, no fap, semen retention, whatever. The new school, hey man, every time you bust a nut, it puts a signal to your brain to produce more testosterone. Science, right? The ancient mystery school says, all right, your energy, your focus it has to be in line with a mystery spiritual teaching, an ancient occult mystery spiritual teaching. And there's a lot of those schools. The Egyptians had sex a lot. They just didn't bust nuts all the time. They wanted the bottom two chakra, the Muladhara and the Swastikshana. They wanted that to be opened. They wanted all that energy to be collected. They either brought it up and got a higher consciousness, or they used it and they used sex magic and they did magic. Other purposes. I didn't go to the Egyptian mystery school. I don't exactly know how that works, but I've heard from people that are deep into that kind of esoteric world that yeah, you retain your semen and you bust nuts in a partner following sexual ritual for sex magic, and the rest of it, you use it as a portal to other dimensions or whatever, and or you pull it up and you heighten your consciousness with it. Okay. So whenever you start traveling east, the more to India you get, you have two schools, esoteric schools. One, you're a Brahmin, and if you're a Brahmin, you're either an ascetic or you're a Brahmin with the family. So an ascetic would be like your Gauri Shivites, and a Brahmin with the family, an example would be Drona or Dronacharya, Drona, who had a son, Ashwatam. And they're taught yoga and they're taught martial arts to protect spiritual knowledge. They're given celestial sound weapons that we can't even fathom. And they're taught in their schools to protect them. Now, they're taught to only bust a nut whenever it comes into their Kama Pujita, which is a sacred name of the supreme goddess. Sacred love making. They're not busting nuts willy-nilly. So you could take a look at it on a very liberal scale. So say you're married and you have sex once a week. You bust one nut a week. So what is that? 100 nuts a year and 260. I don't know if my math is right. But what I'm saying is you're having sex frequently. You're having sex a lot, but you're doing also a lot of semen retention. So the second thing from like the India kind of Tibet, Japano, Chino, that area, Aryavarta, the Aryan area that exists in that part of Asia. Yeah, more Aryan ancient culture in Asia than in Europe. Just saying that, right? Anyway, you're either a Brahmin, and if you're a Brahmin, you're either an ascetic or you're a family man. And if you're an ascetic, you're not busting nuts at all. You're trying to kill that. You want all your energy raised up, esoterically. And the reason is because an animal can put their energy into another animal in sacred lovemaking or whatever, or they could just sling their energy out. I'm guilty of it, man. Hey, listen, you know. But that's kind of the reason why they don't want you to just bust nuts willy-nilly, because that's sacred fluid, right? So a couple of sacred fluids that you have in your body, your semen and your blood. Well, you take an elbow from Tony Ferguson to the eye, you're going to bleed. You don't have great control over whether you bleed or not, but you do have control over whether you ejaculate or not, right? Like in your life, 99% of the time it was on purpose. You're ejaculating, right? When do you ever bleed on purpose? Not really, not a lot. Doesn't really happen a lot. So anyway, and yeah, when you take sacred oaths and you want to do ritual magic, you sign that shit in blood. Then there's other ritual magics where you gotta ejaculate. So I would always tend to believe the ancients, because they were trying to get people to be warriors and live 120 years and be able to kick the same amount of ass at 120 years old as at 12 years old. Now the new school is you have a fighting career. You have a career. You have a 7-year window where you got to go in, and 3 times a year you got to make a lot of money, essentially. And then from that 3 times a year, you try to piggyback making money off of that making money, and then you're training. And everything is calculated. Calories in, calories out, Fitbit. I left my Fitbit at my girlfriend's house. Hey, but you know, it's scientific, measured, right? Well, cool. But the ancients were like, tell you what, you work hard, and we'll teach you a way of being able to work beyond hard. You know, you eat these foods, you fast these fasts. And that's another thing that's kind of fat, no fat, right? It's controlling your diet. So you're controlling your fluids, you're controlling your sexual energy. Now you control your diet, right? Shiva said this is how much you're supposed to eat, right? This is a fast. This is a feast. So whether you want to eat this much 3 times a day, once a day, twice a day, 6 times a day, or whatever. But that's the amount. It's a little bit bigger than your fist. When you fast, you eat the same amount, but you cut it in half. Then, when you further your fast, you cut the distance between the last meal and the first meal, or you increase the distance between the last meal and the first meal. That's intermittent fasting. Now, also the new school likes the hedonistic fast, where you eat one big ass meal at the end of the day, just nom 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 nom. That's still hedonism. That's kind of a real Roman way of doing it, is, you know, one meal, and it's anything that you want. And then why not just go and bust a nut afterwards? No, but for real. So the goal of a martial artist is to be like this: strong, fast, sleek, lean. You can go anywhere at any time and endure anything and still accomplish your mission, right? So the older I get, the more I'm like, all right, man, we gotta ejaculate purposefully. And so once or twice a week with my monogamous partner, you know, that's what I'm developing into. When I was young, it was like I'm cracking a nut whenever I can. Girl's pretty is a good enough reason for me. And the more I study the ancients, the more I learned that everything you ingest, everything you excrete, everything that you do, think, and feel has an effect. And that effect accumulates and effects. Affect is how the card's played out. Effect is I did this and it caused something to happen. Cause and effect versus cause and effect. So your goal in life is to have the greatest effect, right? You want to be happy. So everybody's end goal, you boil it down, they want to be happy. Stable, happy, joyful, blissful. When you're born, you're a baby, you're blissful. Right? That's the natural state of your body. You're crying, you get a titty. You want to poop, you just poop. Right? But then again, here it is. The circumstances, you gotta have a loving mother. You gotta have, you know, all right, you have a loving mother, but you're in a war-torn region. You know? Food's hard. Everybody's starving. So there's a lot that has to play into it. Your fate also has to play into it. You know, like, so what can you control? Your fate is you're on a plane. It starts in Dallas, it ends in Denver. Your free choice is what you do on that plane. So if you're on that plane, you rest up, you hydrate, you eat a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables. You're ready to go when you feel good in Denver. Feel good. You get drunk on that plane, pick a fight. Now you're on the TSA, no naughty list. You're going to land in Denver, it's just going to suck. It's going to suck. So, where do you want your energy? So again, FAP or no FAP, right? If you pay attention and you pour yourself into your training, then you're focused on that. If you're pouring yourself into your training and then going and lusting, you're spreading your energy. Going too many places. If you're training when it's time to train, and then you're not worried about pleasing your body because you have sex once a week or once a month, whatever it breaks down to. If you have a monogamous partner and you guys have a routine, right, and you're only busting nuts during sex, quality of sex is going up. You're taking anxiety off of performance. Probably got to have stiff or harder erections. You know, if you eat a diet that's high vascularity, it's the same thing. What's good for your ding-dong is good for this. And if you take care of your body, your soma, then it's easy to take care of your mind and it's easy to take care of your soul. Mind, body, and soul. Shiva says you have to eat things that take care of all three. And that's why he's a vegetarian. Because you eat photosynthetic plants, you're eating sunlight. Nothing stronger than sunlight. You're getting water that's been cleaned by the plant. Nothing creates life like water. You can put water in the dark, it's going to create a mold, that's life. Put water in the sun, it's going to create a different kind of life. You leave water in a pool of concrete, there's going to be shit growing out of it not after too long, you know. So those are the things that are good. If your body, if you're addicted to stuff and you're lusting for stuff and you're on drugs, you have to get your coffee fix. You know, what are you doing with your energy? And I was the guiltiest for the longest time. And this is actually kind of a good thing. Thank you for making me make this video, because I'm going to get a little bit more solid on my shit. You know, coffee is black and it takes It takes prana, it takes life force to digest it. And it puts your body in a state where it doesn't want to be, and then it gets addicted. Whereas, drink matcha or yerba mate, it comes from a green thing, not a black thing. So there's still some good sattva qualities from it. It's got rajasic qualities. It'll speed you up. Caffeine's not great. Caffeine, the more stimulants you do in your youth, the more agony you're going to be in your old age. Because your nerves are going to get fried. Your central nervous system isn't a thing. It's not a car. You don't turn it on. You don't turn it off. You can't. There's no real maintenance for your central nervous system. Your body has to take care of that. So don't fry your nerves. Also with fapping, right? It's part of your endocrine system. It's connected to your respiratory system. All of this is connected to your life force. So what do you want to do with your energy? Right? Clean foods, mind, body, and soul. Yoga, mind, body, and soul. The other side of yoga, yoga in action, martial arts. Meditating, resting, you know. You can't overtrain, you can only under-recover. So how are you going to recover? Well, let's not waste the thing, you know. You get twice as much cardio, you do twice as much cardio easier and feel better if you're rested and you're stretched out and you're good to go and you're fed and nourished and hydrated. So don't defeat your body. That's the big thing. Don't defeat your body. So it's not an issue of fapping or non-fapping. It's an issue of, is your discipline, is your regimen, is your training, are you on point with all that? If you're on point with all that, you're gonna be so focused on your good stuff that you're not gonna want to go out and do the thing. When you get horny, whenever it's time for the sacred lovemaking, you go, it's gonna be way better. Trust me. It's gonna be way better because your energy, your focus, it's not slinging around. You're not chasing all the little things. You're focused. You're centered. That's the best. All right, think of this. So here is focused and centered, right? Focused and centered. Okay? You go way too happy, you're on a manic high, it's got a slingshot low in order for you to get back to centered. If you're a little bit happy, you're training, you raise the bar to more and more of a blissful state. You raise your vibration to more and more of a natural blissful state. So being a little happy is now being in ecstasy all the time. And you're not slingshotting. Little happy, something bad happens, you're a little sad. Little happy, but you're up here. If you're addicted, hunting sexual gratification, Krishna said, you don't even got to believe Krishna is God. He could just be that badass kid that was a farm boy raised by gypsies that grew up to have a kingdom. That's good enough. That guy said when he was explaining how all of the celestial ship works, in the middle of that, he says, you go lusting, only agony comes from it. So where do you want your energy? Right? So let's go back to the other thing, man. The playboy, the high tech, the dude that's I have my 7-year career, then I'm gonna retire. Cool, dude. Cool. You made this money, but can't walk. You're broken. Chasing the spotlight. Burnt out. Fizzled. Or if you're a true martial artist, like someone like Khabib Nurmagomedov, he goes home. He's still Khabib. He's training because that's part of his ethos. That's part of his character. So he's a martial artist. So he's always going to be constantly training, always a little happy, you know? And then once you stop fighting, the little bit of pissed off, that little bit of edge that wears down, and then you're just a martial artist. You're just a yogi. Very first martial artist was the very first yogi. Remember that. Very first martial artist was the very first yogi. He taught 7 sages, right? One of them had a son that was the axe-wielding Brahmin who killed the warrior clans 21 times. So, Shiva, the god of, some say he's a god of yoga. Well, if you're just teaching stretching poses, how is the guy killing clans around the world 21 times? Filled 3 wells, I think, 3 or 5 wells, full of Kshatriya, warriors' blood. Filled them full, and then he was done. And you know what he did after that? Yoga. All right, this has been an esoteric martial arts rant. Hope you all enjoyed it.